Thank you, Gloria and Stevie, and appreciate you all being here. You know, it's, Congressman Green, and then to hear their story, and now we're going to go in a different direction, but what ties all of this together is the United States Constitution and this day that we're celebrating today. General Skrmetti, go ahead and come up, and while you're coming up, I'm going to tell people a little bit about you, okay? So I think we all, let me just start with this. George Washington University, University of Oxford, Harvard University, Harvard Law School, editor-in-chief of the Harvard University Law Journal. And so he started his career in Memphis with, I guess, with Butler Snow, and then he also worked as a United States attorney prosecuting sex crimes, public corruption, just things that none of us probably can even imagine, and came to work for General Slattery, who was the previous Attorney General, and then he worked for Governor Lee, and then he got tapped to be our current Attorney General and reporter, and we are just so excited. He's just been in...
I think this might be a hazing ritual for the new Attorney General. So I will try to redeem myself by keeping this relatively short. But it is a delight to be here to talk about the Constitution. We have the best Constitution in the world. We have been blessed. And there are a lot of good things to say about it, but there are a couple of things I want to particularly highlight. Since we're here talking about the Constitution, its importance, why we need to let all of the young people in America understand it, we need to make sure that we're understanding why it is so great. And the number one thing about it that makes it a great document, something that's lasted, something that has given us unparalleled prosperity and liberty, is the separation of powers. Our Constitution is designed to ensure that we do not have the concentration of power that inevitably leads to corruption and that inevitably leads to the collapse of democracy and the rise of something terrible. So at the federal level, we have the legislative branch making the laws, we have the executive branch enforcing the laws, we have the judicial branch interpreting the laws. They all push against each other. None of them are able to do everything by themselves, and that keeps us free. That keeps them each accountable because the other branches are constantly pushing back against each branch as it tries to expand its power. And we have federalism, and federalism is a brilliant invention. Under federalism, the federal government is the supreme government, but it is a limited government. There are certain things that the federal government is supposed to do, and for everything else, it's left up to the states or the people. And we have been doing a really lousy job of keeping the federal government in its lane for about the last 100 years. And it's been a problem. The federal government has a few things that it's supposed to do, and if it was only doing those things, it would do them well. One of them you heard about from the congressman, and that's protecting the border. We have to have a military that can protect the country. We have to have a few key systems in place that give us the infrastructure we need to have the prosperity that we deserve. And instead, we have a federal government that is micromanaging health policy, education policy, getting into all sorts of regulatory work that it doesn't need to be in. You've got environmental regulation where if you've got a puddle in your backyard, it can literally be the basis for a federal case. That's not what the Constitution established, and we need to constantly work to hold the federal government accountable and keep it in its lane. And it's my privilege as the Attorney General to do that on behalf of Tennessee in concert with some of the other great attorneys general across the country. The other great thing about the Constitution, separate and apart from separation of powers, is another mechanism that's designed to hold the government accountable, and that's the ultimate authority for everything lies with the American people. The federal government owes all its power to the people. The Constitution only matters because it was ratified. It's a great document, but if somebody just wrote it and held it out there, it would have no power over any of us. The power of the Constitution comes from the people voting for it. The power of the laws that are passed under the Constitution comes from the people electing representatives who vote for them. The people are always in control. We can amend the Constitution if there's a problem with the document. We can vote for new people or persuade our elected officials to vote differently if we have a problem with the laws that get passed. We are ultimately the authority over everything, and it's the federal and the state level. We divide the power so that nobody can have so much that they do whatever they want to do. There's always going to be a check, there's always going to be a balance. But at the end of the day, the power lies with the people, and that's where it belongs. The most important thing that we can do to ensure the continued viability of our government is exactly what the 917 Society is doing, and that is educate. We need children to grow up into responsible voters and citizens who understand why we have it so good, who don't ignore the basis for all the good things they have and turn around and mess it up. They need to appreciate that the structures of government that we have are better than whatever alternative is out there. And whatever short-term snake oil is being sold that our Constitution is purportedly an impediment to is not worth it. We have been given such an incredible political blessing, and the only thing that can end it is our own stupidity as a people. So we need to educate every generation and give them the virtues of understanding our civics and the ability to discuss and debate. We're always going to disagree about stuff. I mean, I'm sure if we got to talking in this room, we'd have a lot of disagreements. Across the state, we have so many disagreements, and nationally, I mean, you've got Tennessee, you've got California. We can find a lot of things that we can disagree about. And what we have in our Constitution is a way to resolve those disagreements. It's a way to turn our conflict into something constructive so that we're constantly pressing to get the best laws that we can get. So we've got elected officials that are constantly working to give us the best laws they can give us. We have this system that works so well, and we need to be sure people appreciate it, people are able to take advantage of it, and this is a government of the people. We need to educate people who can run it. We need future generations that aren't just voters, but leaders. And so I am so happy to have the opportunity to say thank you to everybody who has been working hard to educate those future generations. This is work that is going to bear fruit centuries from now. And I'm honored to be here to say thank you so much. Keep up the good work. What you're doing is going to make more of a difference than anything else you're going to do in the political realm. So thank y'all very much.